Lights, camera, Kong.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Ange.
We're
Nerdazons.
Loved it.
Okay, good. So this episode was my choice. I really like this story. It's very similar to the reasons why I like the Frankenstein story. I chose to do the 1976 and the 2005 version because the classic is always going to be a classic. To me, the original, the 1933 version, you can't redo an original in my opinion, and I knew it just wouldn't stack up to one of its remakes, so I thought, why not? Let's do two of the remakes. So I thought it would be a better fair game in the comparison side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't choose the original. But I chose, let's start with King Kong 1976. A petroleum exploration expedition comes to an isolated island and encounters a colossal giant gorilla. That was a bigger tongue twister than I thought, but I did that in one go.
You did.
I'm very impressed with myself. I did that in one go. So
First of all, I didn't realise this was
Jessica Lange. Oh
Jessica Lange's first film.
It was her first film?
It was her first film.
That. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we will get into that in a moment. Let me just read the synopsis for 2005. A greedy film producer assembles a team of movie makers and sets out for the infamous Skull Island, where they find more than just cannibalistic natives. So, I think we should start with story first.
Yeah.
And I guess for story, we're talking the journey, the destination, the quest, if you will, for both films. They're quite different. So, the 1970s...
They really are.
They are. Yeah, well, so the 2005 is more closely aligned to the 1933 version.
I'd never seen the 1933 one.
Yeah, it's more similar in some aspects. Than the 76. The 76, I can see that they've tried to modernize it, like proper military helicopters and like flamethrowers and things like that in this one. So it's definitely set in a more modern New York City compared to 20s in the 33 and the 2005. I'm going to stop mentioning the 33 because we're not comparing that. We're comparing these two. But the stories are so different. So as the synopsis says, the 76 version, the whole point of the expedition is because they want to go and find an island, drill it, and take all of its like natural resources, essentially. And the other one, it's film producer wants to go to an island to get the shot, the winning film that he's aiming to get. So Jack Black's character and Charles Grodin, so those two characters are the ones that are leading the expeditions. They both end up coming to the same, I guess, conclusion of their journey, and that's to capture the ape and get big money, Whereas in the 2005, it's a different story. It's all for going on location for a film in that eyes. I personally, after watching this, I personally like the 2005 better. I just don't like the whole point of the expedition in 1976. I can get it. It's more modern. I see why they're doing it, but I don't want them to tear up this island.
I liked the 1976 a lot better.
Oh, okay.
I thought because it was it's a romance story.
Oh, I view this very differently than you.
No.
It's a tragedy. This film is always a heartbreaking tragedy.
Exactly. It's a romance film, but there's also tragedy. There's action.
I don't see romance in it at all.
Really?
Not in the 76 one. So, okay, I'll tell you why I don't view the 70, I don't see much romance in the 76 one as I do the 2005. Like, I definitely see the romance in the tragedy in the 2005. In the 76 one, the pivotal point to me that made me realize there's just nothing between Jack and Dawn. So Jack Prescott, which I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be Jeff Bridges and Dawn.
He was so handsome.
He was, and Jessica Lange was gorgeous. I've always thought she's gorgeous. She still is beautiful. I didn't realize this was her first film, but between them, it just it seemed very superficial. And then there were parts like at the end when they were back in New York and he's like, come with me. And the way she was talking to him, it was a proposition. She's like, oh, is that offer still on the table? Will you let me go with you? Is the offer there? And it just felt like she was looking for the best thing for her at the time, not in it for the love. And then the thing that made me realize that it just definitely is, there's no romance between them, is at the very end when she's literally shattered and there's everyone swarming her, and she was calling specifically for him. Like, she was a wreck and she was calling for Jack, and he was at the back of the crowd and he didn't even bother to go through the crowd to get to her and get her out.
And that's why it's also a bit of a tragedy as well. And
but
also
I don't see that as the tragedy. To me,
no, Kong dying is the tragedy.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, and the same sort of thing I find with Frankenstein, which we're going to talk about when I do that film to book, because we're doing that. That's a choice. I really love the Frankenstein thing, but it's just so sad. I always get so sad and emotional when I watch King Kong, because it's just like he would never have died if humanity just kept their noses out of it. And it's just like, if you didn't trap him, he would have been sad that she's gone in whatever version of the film there is, but he would never have had a means to get off the island. But humanity, as always, had to trap a beautiful creature, take him to somewhere that he doesn't belong, and then terminate him because, oh no, he's out of control. You know?
I felt like his death in the 76 was a lot harder and a lot more brutal for me than it was in the 2005. Also, I did watch the original first, so you know, I did too.
I watched it that way as well. Yeah, I mean, in the story wise, I think for the 76, after I literally just watched the 2005, it was definitely much more public. And I think that's what makes it so much more heartbreaking to me, is because he was just an animal on show.
And that they played, you know, Beauty and the Beast type thing with her in the play. And it was just, oh my God, I was so heartbroken.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the Beauty and the Beast part comes across better in the 2005. There was just something about Dawn and Kong in the 76. I don't know. I couldn't vibe with. Like, I can understand that, you know, he liked her, but they took it, like, they made it icky. I'm going to say it. Like, Fred Wilson's character, like, so Fred Wilson is the character, which was Charles Grodin, the dad from Beethoven.
He was, oh my gosh, his death was like, mwah, I loved it. I'm so glad. Although, talking about that, a little fun fact, that there was actually an alternate ending where, you know how Kong steps on Fred and then he's dead. Well, they actually had an alternate ending where Kong came down, smacked him, and when he lifted his hand up, all you saw was Fred's hat.
Wow.
So I'm kind of glad that they went with what they went with, because he deserved that death so much.
Absolutely.
He was such a prick.
Yeah,
and I thought
agree.
he was more of a prick than Jack Black.
Oh, for sure.
Think.
Absolutely, because, like, the difference between Carl Denham and Fred Wilson, and this is what sets them apart, like, differently. We're kind of scoping into characters here, but they both had a different reason for starting the journey. Fred already had a mission of going out and doing something wrong. He didn't care who got in his way. He saw big bucks. He's going out about it. Carl, he saw money, but he saw it in the art of making a movie. He didn't see it of, like, harming nature or anything like that around him. He just wanted to go and get it, come back and have the big bucks. But Fred was a bit more, I don't know, like, cutthroat, if you want to say. Yeah. So they had different reasons at the start of their journey as to why they went out. But with the story, fun fact about the Beauty and the Beast thing. So, like, I'm going to reflect back here, but in the 33 version, there wasn't as much of that Beauty and the Beast vibe with Anne Darrow. She was kind of more afraid every time Kong was around. But with the 2005, I feel like Naomi Watts portrayed a connection with Kong that was different to what Jessica Lange did, but more of, like, a companion. It's so hard to explain. I'm trying to think of the right words. Like, yeah, Fred just made it icky between Jessica Lange and Kong, whereas Naomi Watts, it was a caring connection, because she really did see that, hey, he's not going to hurt me, and hey, he just saved me from all these so many monsters on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the caring connection, which is, I think, why she goes to him at the end of the film, whereas in the 76, Kong goes to find Jessica Lange because they're in a bar and he takes her from there. So it's a bit of a different dynamic between the two films.
Although one scene that really kind of made it icky for me, the 2005, and made it super cringy, there's actually two scenes.
Okay.
It's the one where she's being captured by Kong, and then she's doing a stupid dance and trying to make Kong
act.
The what?
It's called vaudeville. It's what she used to do, like, when she acted, and she was just doing that to make him, like, she could see he was being moody, you know?
I don't know, that just made it super cringe, and I was just like, I did not like that at all. And the other scene was when they were on the ice, and that they were like dancing on the ice. I was like, oh, this is super cringy. I really don't like it.
I don't know. I actually thought it was cringier watching Jessica Lange try and connect with him than Naomi Watts. Like, I feel like Naomi Watts just understood him as, you know, another living being. She could understand this giant creature. She could see, oh, he is a bit moody, I can try and cheer him up or something. Like, I just thought she portrayed being able to understand him better, whereas Jessica Lange, it was just, there was a part in the original, I think it's when the part for me that I found cringy, even before Fred Wilson made it gross, when he's like, the monkey tried to, like, rape you. I thought, oh, okay, you've made this weird. But what I found weird was when she's covered in mud and he puts her in the water and under the waterfall.
And then he blows on her to dry it.
Yeah, but she makes the weirdest noises. Like, at first I'm like, oh, I can understand this, and she's like, yeah, I can understand it. But then she, like, shuts her eyes and she's being all sensual, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I actually found it so much more cringy to watch her connect with Kong, because Naomi Watts was more of, like, compassionate connection. It didn't seem as, the vibe didn't seem as creepy. But
I guess as romantic, it wasn't as, so I think that in the 1976 they actually, like, tried to romanticize Kong.
That's the word that we're looking for, romanticize. They definitely made it feel like there was a romantic connection between them, and I found that very uncomfortable to watch.
I didn't.
Okay.
I was just like, I don't know. I genuinely enjoyed the 76, and I have to say that adding the actor Rene Auberjonois, who played the oil tycoon Bagley, I thought he was he?
Yeah, he's like a character in Star Trek. I can't remember his name. He's in a few different versions of it. I just remember
he was a great addition as well.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
He would just, he was a bit of comic relief. I've got, like, quite a lot to say about the characters.
Okay, how about we just wrap up the story, and then we can move on to that. So to me,
and then combine them both.
Yeah, in sort of my final notes, just on the actor who played Bagley, it's Odo, who, that was the character's name he played in Star Trek, for all of our Star Trek fans out there. But story, I have to say I much prefer the 2005 story. It's simple, it's clean, it's like, Hollywood in its early stages. I liked that. I much prefer the 2005.
I struggled through the 2005, and especially being almost 45 minutes longer, at nearly 3 hours, it actually felt like a 3-hour movie.
Oh, yeah, it did. Even I paused it at one point, and I'm like, oh my God, like, why? Before we move on from story, but yeah, I do have to agree. It's Michael Bay who did 2005. As he does, there's so much action, and I just thought, in the 76 version, when Dawn was taken and they all go into the jungle to find her, much quicker. And the 2005, it just went on for too long. Even I paused it thinking, oh my God, I don't remember this film being this long. And then when I saw it was 3 hours and 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, why did I start this?
But there's a way, there is a way to make a long movie not feel that long. Look at Dune.
Exactly. It didn't feel that long at all.
Did not feel that long. It was like, oh my goodness, how is this movie over already?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I definitely agree. Runtime, 76 wins, but story, I much prefer the 2005.
76. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just think 76 wins for the storyline.
No, that's cool. I like that. Yeah. I like that when we don't always fully agree.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to move on to the actors.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to move on to Dawn. Dawn? I think it's
Dawn. Oh, it's Dawn. I've been saying Dawn this whole time.
No, it's because don't you remember she says that her name's Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn and Anne. I don't know. I felt like Naomi Watts was like deadpan the entire time. I did not like her. I didn't like her in that movie.
She had more like actual acting and crying and everything than Jessica Lange did. Jessica Lange is gorgeous. Absolutely loved her. But I got a bit frustrated with her for a bit because it was typical 70s acting. She was so airy-fairy, talking about star signs, and as soon as she got off onto the beach, she started like supermodel, like swimsuit model posing on the beach with the camera, and I just thought, I don't like you.
I felt like she was felt more connected to her than I did with Naomi Watts. Okay. Maybe because I'm not a huge fan of Naomi Watts to begin with. Okay. Also, I don't know, I just felt like I got such a icky feeling when Jack Black's character was like, oh, I'll take you out for lunch, and like he was trying to, get her to be on that role. I don't know, I just feel like Jessica Lange wins the lead actress.
I have to disagree. I think I love them both. They're both incredible actresses. I actually kind of really like Jessica Lange more than I do Naomi Watts, but as compared to the characters in each film, I do have to say Naomi Watts wins it, which is hard for me because I do think I like Jessica Lange more than I do Naomi Watts as an actress, but I think she did better in the film. It set the tone better, whereas like Dawn was like her vibes didn't fit the rest of the film, and I just feel she was at a different energy level than the rest, and I couldn't vibe with it. And then there was that hokey like 70s acting where she was screaming, and especially at the end, and I'm like, girl, like you should know the monkey by now. You're the one that went and talked to him on the boat. So
yeah. And then when she did that hokey acting, when she was clearly like, I thought it was hilarious when she was tied up and it was literally just looped over twice.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, really?
I know. Definitely 70s hokiness, which I kind of like a bit about it.
I think that you've just explained it. I think I liked the hokiness of this movie way more than the remake, which was modernized too much for me. And that's another thing I'm going to add.
Really?
I'm going to go, I don't know. Another thing that I didn't like about the 2005 was the addition of the dinosaurs.
So that's actually in the original. The island has creatures on it, but in like as Michael Bay does, he just shoved extra in it. But yeah, it is. There's prehistoric creatures on the island, whereas in the 76 it was just Kong and the natives. So it's more aligned to the original. Yeah.
Because I was like the snake part when Kong's fighting the snake in the original. I thought that was great. Having dinosaurs only, I guess you can't say this because Kong's the only one living on that island, but having dinosaurs living only in one part of the island, and I know the whole story is unbelievable, but yeah.
There's supposed to be other creatures on that island. So it's also weird. I was reading an article as well, and it really summed it up. The 76 version didn't have enough elements of action for this story. This story should have a lot. Whereas the 2005 had too much of it. The island
Yes.
scene just went on too long. They could have really cut that down and still done it with more action.
Way too long to actually meeting Kong as well.
Yeah, like it took them a long time to get her, and they were just coming across so many different, like there was the dinosaurs, they were stampeding down, there was like the spider-like ones, there was the thing that ate Andy Serkis, and like there was just too much. And they could have really reduced that down.
But there was even too many obstacles for them to even start the movie process, which kind of annoyed me as well.
What obstacles?
That they ran out of money, so then they had to, or they were denied the rights to that film, so then they had
I think that makes
get
sense.
that, and then
because it's the Depression, like, and they showed you that, especially, and I thought this was really good sort of historically, but Central Park had all the squatters in it because that happened. Like, it became an area where everyone had to live, and they really showed that. And the fact that she hadn't eaten, so when she was always staring at the food, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense, you need that money.
And she was too, I don't know, I'm not poo-pooing on this movie.
Sounds like you
intentionally, but the fact that she was meant to be starving and all of this, she didn't look, she was too pretty. She had, I don't know, she just didn't look like she was starving to me.
Yeah, I mean, she was tiny. When you saw her waist, I was just like, wow, that is so tiny. Yeah, I mean, if you're an actress, you'd be able to do your makeup and everything right, because that's how you've got to get your next paycheck, is you've got to be able to look good. She was definitely tiny, and they showed that when she went to the, like, I guess, burlesque bar, and you saw all the other girls come in, and you saw Jack Black was specifically looking to see if they were a size 4, which I think is so weird and compared to our, I don't think it's set to Australian sizes. I think it's...
Oh, no, they'd be like the size of my thigh.
Yeah, you could tell he was scoping that out. And then when you saw those girls walk in compared to her, you're like, yeah, okay, you are tiny compared to them.
Also, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Colin Hanks as Preston, and I thought he was I felt like he was
it's
kind
King Kong's
of
son, right?
King Kong.
Tom Hanks' son.
Tom
right?
Hanks' son.
King Kong.
I thought he was maybe he had a baby.
Maybe
I felt like he was this movie's version of Bagley, like with all the comedic responses, and I didn't like Andy Serkis in this as well. I thought he was like creepy, and I feel like he obviously like lost an eye or something.
So do you want to know a fun fact? I was going to save this for later, and this might help you understand why he was in it. The 1933 Kong, it was done with stop motion. So that was already pretty groundbreaking in 1933. This is why one of my biggest beefs about the 76. They used an ape suit on a person.
Yes.
Right? So if 1933 can do stop motion, why bother with an ape suit when they also could have done that in the 30s? And then in the 2005, they did CGI, but they also did motion picture with Andy Serkis' face. So I'm like, this is incredible. This guy is like the king of doing... So it's CGI and motion capture performance with Andy Serkis' face. So this guy does it in, like, he's done it in Lord of the Rings. I think he's done it in other stuff as well. But he's like the king of this. And I think that's what makes it cool. The one thing I will say is he's tiny compared to what he should be. Both the 76 and the 2005 version really captured Kong's eyes, which was good. But I think that on a roundabout way of telling you why I think Andy Serkis was in the film as an actual person, not just using his face to put with CGI.
Speaking of that, like, I felt like the eyes of the 76 were, like, I put down he had demonic yet innocent eyes, a scary, furious beast yet innocent in the end.
I actually think both films really captured the emotion in Kong. Like, you could really tell, if you paid attention to his eyes, you could really tell what he was feeling at the time. But yeah, you're right, the 76 one at first, and I think this is why I felt icky with it, because it just made him look really creepy, whereas in the 2005, you could just tell he just seemed lonely. He didn't have any other gorilla. You saw the skulls of other gorillas when they went through the cave, and it's like he's just lonely and he just looks sad, and that breaks my heart.
I know. And going back to what you were saying about Kong, the suit and stuff, yes, Kong was a guy in a suit. However, in some of the scenes, they actually built a life-size version, but they couldn't make it robotic enough. But they did use that in some parts.
And there were some parts where it was just focusing on Jessica Lange. It would be the hand, she'd be on the hand or something. So it just makes it a bit more life-size, but yeah.
I'm just laughing because even though we've already said it, the part where he puts her under the waterfall and then tries it.
At first, you can see. So, okay, when I watched that scene, I thought, okay, at first, her facial expressions are like, oh, okay, he's just trying to dry me off. I get what he's trying to do. But then when he keeps doing it, she closes her eyes and she starts making these weird, like, moaning sounds. And I'm like, okay, you're enjoying this too much.
But and also, he's an ape and his breath would have stunk.
I know. There's no way he would have cleaned his teeth or had someone else to clean them for him. And the food he's eating. And, yeah, it just... I couldn't vibe for the dynamic of Jessica Lange and Kong as much as I did for Naomi Watts and Kong.
So while we're on the topic, which Kong do you think was better? I know you're going to say 2005.
I think I will go 2005. Yeah. You?
I am actually going to be Switzerland in this one and say on par.
This is like the biggest debate we've ever had.
I know.
I love it.
I like
this. And we're so diplomatic about it. I think we finally learned not to not to yuck each other's yums.
I know. I'm trying really hard, but
no, go for it. I like this. That's why I like hearing different opinions.
I like that it was 70s Kong and the graphics weren't that great.
Yeah.
And you saw him running, and I don't know, the hokiness of that got me.
Yeah.
But then the 2005, he was a little bit more realistic.
Mm.
And you're right, like his eyes
and the
were
breathing,
believable.
Like when he was on stage and you just hear the
that broke
and
my
I'm just
heart.
like, oh, he's sighing. He's like so upset.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And it just seemed it added that element of lifelike vibe to him, and it just I think makes you as a viewer sympathize so much more, which back to my original thing, is a tragic story for him. It's not a happy story, and they really draw you in on that.
Didn't know that King Kong died.
Oh my god, what?
Well, I didn't know. All I knew is that he was on like a tower in New York, and that he was like, oh,
iconic, yeah, that iconic scene.
That's iconic. But I didn't know that he was going to die. And when he fell, I am not a crier, but I had tears in my eyes, and I was just like, this is so sad.
Both films always make me sad when I have to agree. Both films actually still brought the same emotion out to me. So I'm kind of going to be Switzerland on that. I think I do like the intimate vibe with Anne Darrow at the end of the 2005 one. And the thing that I like the most is when she does turn, Jack is there. And I think having Jack not go and comfort Dwayne in the 76 one really just makes the whole thing so much more sad to me. And I think I like that. I don't know. I think I like that she is with Kong in those last moments, not that he fell and she has to run down to see him. I like the intimate vibe of the 2005 one, but both of them bring me to the same emotional end that I get to when I watch this film.
And what about the Jack, played by Jeff Bridges and Adrian Brody?
It was more believable to me that Adrian Brody loved her for her, and the fact that he's like, I even wrote a comedy for you, and she's like, why would you do that for me? I'm like, that's like the biggest sign of love right there, that he's writing that for you. And he came back for her. The biggest thing is he came back for her at the end. I did believe it a bit in the 76 one, but when they started talking about their relationship as an offer, and the fact that he didn't go and comfort her when she was clearly absolutely distraught at the end.
And it was really more of a business proposal.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And I didn't like that.
Because I watched the original last week.
Yeah.
So everything's not as fresh in my head as it should be. I apologize. Yeah. But now that we're talking about it, it did feel like a business proposal, and that when, they were on the boat going back to New York, and that they had like a fling, it just felt like that they had a holiday fling.
Yeah, exactly.
Not deep emotional connection, even though, they were on an island, they had all of these experiences together.
Yeah. And even before then, she was on a boat. You can tell what they were doing on the boat. Like, she even said, did you ever know that some lewd act, I can't remember what it was, can save your life?
Did you know that deep throating can save your life?
Yeah. And then that to me made me, I was shocked that she said that. But also to me, it was like, you were on that boat probably acting the same way because you thought you were going to get a career out of it. And then you acted the same with these people on a boat, thinking you acted like that with the one guy who was the photographer, So shock horror to me, it didn't seem believable. But I did believe it with Naomi Watts and Adrien Brody, because there was that, the little connection they had where he's like, she tells him she does more comedy. And so he's like, I'm going to write a comedy for you. And I'm like, oh, it's cute. And he came back for her. It's my biggest thing.
I didn't like the actors in the 2005, but I can see how you're persuading me to change my opinion in the fact that, yes, he did go back for her and that he did do these beautiful little things. Yeah. Although I feel like there was a lot more chemistry between Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange.
You say chemistry. I just say it just looked like on-screen lust.
But I kind of felt that they were lusting over. It didn't feel like they loved each other, but they were lusting.
Yeah, it just felt like they needed to have a bit of fun. It didn't, to me, I didn't feel anything more about that. And another thing that also is really good for me that I liked about Anne Darrow compared to Dwayne, she chose not to act in the King Kong 8th Wonder of the World. She chose to go back to doing something else because she didn't believe in what they were doing, because, humanely, they shouldn't have hurt him and they shouldn't have taken him from Skull Island. And the fact that she chose not to be act in that, it showed her that she wasn't as superficial as Dwayne is. And even when Jack said to her, we can go, it doesn't matter about money, we can go. And she was that superficial that she's like, no, I want to act. I want to be the next big thing. And so she chose to stay. And then at the very end, it all hit her in the face of like, oh, crap, I let Jack go. That business proposal's gone for me now. What do I do? And now I am the face of everything, but I had to go through all of this. It just, she just seemed like a superficial girl trying to get into Hollywood to me, and I couldn't connect with her.
Something about the 2005, I think, to be honest, it's the runtime that got
it is long, and it's not a film that I go back out to watch anytime soon. I'll just watch another one. But if I had to pick between the two, I you know me, I love classic films, and I usually always pick the classic film out of them. And I think I really did like it. And up until sort of Jessica Lange came in, the hokiness sort of the classic vibe was gone for me after that, and I couldn't vibe with it as much. And then the chemistry between her and Kong also didn't sit with me, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I like this one as much as, the other version. It's a long one, and it's probably a film that I would not go out of my way to put on. But if it was, say, on, I'd sit and watch the rest of it whatever time I come in.
I would definitely choose, if I had to choose between the both, I'm going to say 76 because
I'm going to say 2005.
It is quicker. But I just feel like that they dragged. I think that's why I'm poo-pooing it a little bit. A little bit.
Oh, I'm poo-pooing 76 a bit as well.
Because of the fact that it was such a long movie and it did take forever to get to the point. And because like I said, I watched the original first and it was quick. It was like boom, 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 boom.
Action. And the story should be like that. And to be honestly fair, they really should have cut the runtime down for the 2005. They could have still had the same effects with less runtime.
Oh, 100%. Agreed.
Yeah, they could have definitely achieved that. While we're sort of still on characters, I just want to talk about Jack Black. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I saw this film, mm-hmm. and I absolutely loved him in it because he was so different to the types of characters he always played, and he mm-hmm. really came across as that, like, slightly crazy person, even when he was escaping and he's just like, you know what happens when you drown, you know, things like that. And it's something he doesn't do often. And I remember as a kid I watched Neverending Story 3.
They made a third one?
Yeah, and he's the baddie in that. He's kind of like a high school age kid mm-hmm. picking on, like, you know, a junior, and he was good as the villain, and I've never seen him as a villain in anything else. So when I saw him in this, obviously I was still in high school, and I was just like, yes, he should be a villain more often, or like a crazy person more often, because he comes across really, he did it good. It was believable.
And that's kind of why I don't think I liked him, is because I have always known him to be the comedic type. And this is the first time I'd ever seen him be something serious.
Okay.
And that I think he did a really good job, but he just gave me, like, icky vibes. And, like, I know that, you know, in the 76, Fred was icky as well, but he was more money hungry, whereas I don't know, I just got, like, especially when he was introducing to Anne, and I just didn't like him.
Okay, yeah, I think it's because I have seen him in, like, a bad sort of an antagonist role before, mm-hmm. that I know he can do it, and it was good to see him like that. With Fred, I just really got that typical 70s rich white guy, even the way he acted around Dwayne when he's like, don't put the camera on me, I have a wife and kids, but then he'd be clearly hitting on her, and I'm like, oh, he probably cheated on your wife 1,000 times, and I just didn't like that, because I don't know, it just, that made me icky, whereas I didn't feel like Jack Black was coming on to Anne at any point.
No, and he didn't come onto her, but he just felt like he was just a no good, like he looked like he was a troublemaker, and just I don't know,
I didn't get that vibe. He just, to me, he had a one-track mind. He was going to get that film at whatever cost.
At any cost, yes.
Yeah.
And
that, I just got that vibe, but I didn't feel anything icky about him.
I just, he just didn't, no. But I have a funny story. So you know how you mentioned Neverending Story?
Yes.
So the other day I went to visit my sister, and every Friday night they have movie night. So my niece was like, what are we going to watch? And she's like, how about we watch Neverending Story? And I was like, are you sure? And she's like,
oh my God,
I want to watch
betray you.
So at the end, and I said, are you sure you want to watch this? Yep. At the end, she was bawling her eyes out, and she just said to me, I'm never watching that movie ever again. Why did you let me watch it?
I always fast forward that part now. The first time I watched it, I was heartbroken, and I remember crying as a kid as well when I watched it. But then, you know, once you've seen it, you can fast forward it. You know what to expect.
Yeah.
Such a good film.
What I want to mention is that some of, like, the graphics and stuff,
mm-hmm.
that I thought one of the scenes that genuinely made me laugh was when they had the branch that had fallen, and that they were on the log, and that Kong was, like, just spinning it, going for his life, and they were just falling. It was just the funniest thing to me of how fake it was.
In the second one?
In the original, yeah. Oh, the 76, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of did something similar to that in the 2005 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looked like more CGI. I think in the 76 one, they probably built something like that in a studio, and it looked a bit more real, but it was definitely CGI in the 2005. There were
so many green screens in the 2005.
Yeah, but it didn't look like, I mean, I think watching it now in 2022, mm-hmm. in our previous episode of Conan the Barbarian, we were talking about how it just, even though it was a more recent film, it didn't look, or the CGI didn't really hold as well it did, whereas this one did. Even though it was heavily, you know, a lot of CGI, I still think it held really well to today's standards.
76 didn't hold up, but I think that's what I did like about it.
Yeah, and usually I like that too.
hokey. And when Jessica was running away from him, or somebody was running away from him, and you could clearly see that, like, when Kong was running after, it looked like she was literally running on the spot.
Yeah. I do love that about, older films. It's one of my favorites. Me, I love classic films, and this was a shock to me that I preferred the 2005. So it's a rare instance.
One other note, because I do have actually a few fun facts, but I have to say that the score for the 76 was actually really beautiful. And even at the beginning of the song, when they had the organ come in, like, I actually was listening to it today, and I thought it was more memorable to me than the 2005. But I've got a few fun facts. So the score for the 76 was actually composed and written by the 007 theme maker John Barry.
Oh.
My other fun fact is that Kong's roar in the 76 was a well-used stock dinosaur roar, which was used in many films, including Jaws.
What? That's cool.
His other noises were actually the voice actor who did the original Transformers, Peter Cullen.
What?
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's cool. I do have to kind of slightly disagree with something, though. I do think that the soundtrack of the 2005, it's a different vibe. They both have a different vibe. I'm not saying, I think both were incredible, but I think the 2005 added to the chemistry and emotion between Anne and Kong. Like, it was what a soundtrack should do, and it supported that, and it really made you feel sad when he was sad, or it made you feel also empathy for him when she felt empathy for him. And I thought the soundtrack was good in that aspect as well. Well, I think we have covered it all off. We're going to come to the fun part. How many movie reels do you rate both of these films?
I actually wrote this down beforehand. So although now I'm going to change them, I'm going to give the 76 a 3.5. Because I did put a 4, but now I'm changing it because I realized that Jessica Lange's character was a bit of a whiny baby. And Jeff Bridges was a little bit of a dick. So that's going down a point. But I had a lot of fun watching this one. And that, and it just got straight to the point. It was boom, 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 boom. Whereas the 2005, I'm giving it 3 because it was too long, and Jack Black just gave me sketchy vibes. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't, he just didn't sit right with me. I think, like I said before, I think it's the fact that it's the first time I've seen him play a villain. Yeah. And, yeah.
I was laughing because my scores are the same but opposite. So I give the 2005 a 3.5. So just in general, I really like the King Kong story. It's not as much as I like, Frankenstein. I'll go out of my way to watch that as many times as I want.
And I'd never seen this at all. All I knew about this movie beforehand was that iconic scene.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. It's been a really debating one, I'm really glad that you watched the story. So I'm happy about that because now we can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's not, my absolute go-to favorite. So to me, it will set it a 3.5. It's a story I do love. The runtime was just too long. I do think production-wise, it is better, which is why I'm putting it up there. And I do much prefer the chemistry between Kong and Anne. So I'm giving that one more. And then I'm giving the 76 a 3. I do like the hokiness of it. I did enjoy the older sort of acting and things like that. But I just could not get past the chemistry between Dwayne and Kong. It just made me feel really icky, and Fred also he just escalated it and made it feel strange, and I'm like, I don't like this. But there were things that both of them did that I really liked. Like the ending really made me, it was two completely different endings, same outcome, different, it was shot differently, but it just really made me still feel the same. And also 76 is getting a 3 because Jack and Dwayne had zero chemistry, so Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's funny that we have the same marks, just differently. I really like this. I'm enjoying that we have a different, yeah, and it's not like we haven't just, you haven't done your usual outright nah.
Yeah, I do that, don't I? I'm like, no, I hate it.
You do, and I'm like, oh, I can't even talk to you about it because you just have a straight up opinion. Whereas this time we got to talk about it.
I was like, nah, couldn't do it. Couldn't even
You did it
finish
with,
Nah,
you've done it with like Pride and Prejudice. You've done it with Crazy Rich Asians. Like, I've had a bit of a terrible run this year with you, so I'm really happy that we didn't agree, but we were able to talk it out, and I like that. Because we have some good points.
That I've matured.
We've both matured, but the moment we've all been waiting for.
And we are currently tied with both of us having half a point each.
Oh my god, if we end up tying at the end of the year, then we just stick to our usual schedule.
Though we flip a coin. Or we get the listeners we put a poll up and we get the listeners to decide.
But then that just shows favoritism. They'll probably choose you.
No, it depends on the movie. If they want to watch Miracle on 34th Street or not.
Okay, 1976. What do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
Okay, so because it's a classic and that it is well loved, I'm going to go 68%.
Lower.
Much lower?
Yes.
52. Did I get it?
No.
It was 53 or 54.
Yes, it was 53. Oh my god, my heart just burst out. I was so close, guys. Yeah, that one. Try and guess the audience score.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
23%.
Nah.
Oh.
Higher.
Oh. 47%.
Nah, it got 31.
Oh.
So
wow. Okay.
I think this is really interesting because, like, just observing what you would usually rate a film and the tomato meter, you're pretty close to, like, audience scores with your opinions. Like, you're pretty good at matching that. That's a skill you have.
Yeah.
But this
clearly
time,
it's given me 0 points, but sure.
Yeah, same for me. But this time you're on a different. I feel like I'm in the opposite end of the audience score, but this time, you're in a different. You didn't rate the same as what the audience would.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting. I like to see how you rate it.
All right.
Okay.
2005.
Yes.
I'm going to say, because it was done by Peter Jackson and it was straight off the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I kept saying Michael Bay throughout the whole thing.
Oh, did you? Who's that?
He did Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm incorrect, people. Please don't shoot me down later.
Boom, boom. And it was straight off that. And yes, I have to say visually, it was a beautiful film. And I feel like it's going towards you. So I'm going to go 87%.
Lower.
Much?
No.
What did I say? 87?
Yes.
I'm going to go 85. 86.
84. Oh my god, guys. We're still in it. Oh, you got really close. My heart is beating so fast in my chest.
Okay, so then the audience score, higher or lower?
It's lower.
By much?
Yeah.
So what was it, 84? So I'm going to give 59.
Lower.
Oh, 50. It's Switzerland.
Oh, you got it.
Did I really?
Yes,
but that was on
half
my
a point.
Try.
So you're on one.
Am I really getting half a point for that?
Yeah, you got that. 2 goes.
Okay.
2 tries.
Fair enough.
That's what we've been doing. Yeah. I think we have been doing it for audience score. Either way, you're getting half a point. So you're on one and I'm on half.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to
Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables.
I have been a busy little bee
Yes, you have.
I don't know. Yeah, I could talk about it because I'm now doing acting classes. You might see me on a show on Stan coming out soon. It's regarding because this year is the 20th anniversary since the Bali bombings. So I was in a TV show about that. It's continuing next week, the shooting. Basically, all I did this week was we were in Sari Club and we were just dancing around and having fake drinks. And it was so hot in there that they had non-alcoholic beers. And they're like, oh, just pretend to have a drink. I'm like, no, I sculled it all. And literally, guess what song we had to listen to for, I'm not even kidding, 12 hours. I was there from...
Oh, my God. Let me think.
7 a.m. and I got home at almost 9 o'clock that night.
Okay, so I'm thinking...
2002.
2002.
What was like a big hit?
Like, are we talking club hit?
No, it was an Australian singer. Do you want me to tell you?
I want to try and guess.
Okay. 2002. Okay, I'll give you a hint. She was also at...
Is it a Kylie Minogue song?
No.
I don't know Aussie artists very well. I bet you I'll know it when you say it.
It was the Vanessa Amorossi's Everybody.
Oh my God.
I had to listen to that, and it was just so basically... Right?
That song.
No, this song like triggers me, and I'm being triggered right now by listening to it. So we get in there and they're like, okay, so dance, and that they had the music on, so it was everybody, and then that stopped, and you had to literally dance with no music.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then you had to take your shoes off. The director was like, take your shoes off because the flip-flop sound was annoying. So that, yep. And then I ended up being at the other club at the same time. So I went to Paddy's as well, which was a nightclub.
Yeah.
So illusion of TV, I was at both clubs at the same time.
That's so funny.
And then next week we're doing the aftermath of it all.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I can't wait to watch it. You'll have to let me know when it comes out because I don't have Stan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then also I started watching Our Flag Means Death.
Oh my God, I finished it. Did you?
Oh, we haven't finished it yet.
Oh.
It's so good.
Okay, I love there's one episode. All I'm going to say is he gave me everything in a matter of minutes and took it all away. And I was so upset. I was laying on the couch with my partner and I was like chucking a fit because I was so upset. And anyway, I finished it. That's all I'm going to say.
What episode was it?
It's towards the end. I think it's like the second last episode. Okay. Or maybe the third last.
Because I'm at the episode, no spoilers, where all I'm going to say with no spoilers is switcheroo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one was great. And then I've also been watching Outlander.
Nice.
As a non-romantic person, I freaking love Outlander.
My best friend's been trying to get me to watch that for years. And she's like, come on, it's your background. You're Scottish. You should watch it. Yeah. I'm like, that's not going to give me any incentive to watch this.
It's such a beautiful series.
My mum watches it. She fell for it hard as well. At the same time my best friend did. They were both telling me about it. And then I think I remember my mum bought the DVD, like the entire series. I think my friends read the book and they really like it. And I'm like, one day I'll watch it. It's just not my go-to type of TV show.
No, but if you like Pride and Prejudice, then I think you would.
I do, but I don't like a lot of my romance films are kind of like really sort of niche and specific. Yeah. So I don't like all romance stuff.
No.
As you can see, my romance style is a bit different to what most people like. Like most of my romance films is like Bridget Jones's Diary, Pride and Prejudice. Like, I don't know. It's that whole...
No, not rom-coms, I guess. I mean, Bridget Jones's Diary is a rom-com,
but not rom-coms. I think that it's the dynamic between the couples that I think the journey of them, they begin hating each other, but then they find out they love each other. And it's the journey of them finding that out about each other is kind of the type of romance stuff that I like.
Well, that sounds exactly like Outlander.
Damn. Okay. All right. Maybe one day when I finish my studies, I'll give it a go. I have been watching the same Our Flag Means Death, and I finished it. And yeah, like I said,
so good.
I was so cut in, like, I was yelling at the TV. You'll know why. They gave me everything and they took it away. And then I've been watching some anime, so it's just been easier to watch around my studies and work. So the episodes are shorter. So I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and we saw the film at the cinemas last week, so that was really good as well.
So next fortnight is my choice. We're doing Hairspray 1988 versus the 2007 version.
Which I was obsessed with that version.
Which one?
2000. I haven't seen the original, so I had only ever seen the 2007, and I was obsessed with the soundtrack.
I'm just excited because the 1988 is directed by John Waters, who did Crybaby and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited to watch it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Nerdazon, you can email us with suggestions or any comments at nerdazons@outlook.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your good podcasts.
Until then, stay nerdy.